Last night, protests erupted in downtown Los Angeles after immigration authorities raided 3 locations across the city on Friday. Hundreds took to the streets outside an ICE facility to protest the raids and demand the release of SEIU California President David Huerta, who was detained while documenting the arrests. This follows an update to another major immigration case. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland father who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador by the Trump administration earlier this year, has been returned to the United States. But the Justice Department isn't presenting it as a correction for what multiple courts, including the Supreme Court, have ruled was an illegal removal. Instead, he's back in the country to face human smuggling charges in Tennessee. According to the newly unsealed indictment, prosecutors allege that over the last 9 years, Abrego Garcia and others conspired to transport undocumented migrants, including alleged MS-13 members from Central America through Mexico and across the Texas border into the U.S. The Trump administration appeared to face no obstacles in returning Abrego Garcia to the United States, despite previously insisting that only El Salvador's President Bukele could authorize his return and that Bukele had refused. And yet, he's here. Yesterday, Abrego Garcia's attorney called this prosecution a clear abuse of power, saying, quote, after months of delay and secrecy, they're bringing him back not to correct their error, but to prosecute him. This shows they were playing games with the court all along. Due process means the chance to defend yourself before you're punished, not after. Joining us now is another member of the legal team representing Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Benjamin Osorio, who's an immigration attorney with Murray Osorio PLLC. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I guess my first question to you is, have you talked to Abrego Garcia, and what has he told you about these charges that are against him? Does he say he's innocent?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. Simon, who you just quoted, will be traveling to see Mr. Abrego Garcia this weekend. So that's going to be the first opportunity we've had to speak with him. Regarding the criminal charges, for the time being, he's been appointed a federal public defender. He was arraigned yesterday, and I imagine that attorney has spoken with him about sort of the nature of his criminal charges. But we have not yet had an opportunity to speak with him, and we hope to accomplish that this weekend.
Well, Mr. Osorio, just weeks ago, the Trump administration said it was out of their control to return Mr. Abrego Garcia to the United States, and only El Salvador's president could make that call. Now they're saying an arrest warrant was all it took. What do you make of this timing?
I mean, the timing is extremely suspicious, and also the nature of the charges themselves. If you look at the indictment, there's a number of different allegations, but conduct that's not charged. They charge him, or they allege that he's a gang member. They don't charge him with gang participation, even though there's a gang participation statute. You know, they allege that he was trafficking in firearms. They don't charge him with that. So I think this is all an attempt to muddy him up. And then on top of that, I think this is an attempt to cover up what they are doing, which is really complying with the court order here and trying to say, no, we're doing this as a result of an extradition. But no, you're doing this to cover the fact that you needed to facilitate his return.
Mr. Osorio, he is facing, I think it said 10 years per migrant that he allegedly hoped to get into the country, which would amount to a life sentence. In your experience, is that the normal punishment that someone like Abrego Garcia would face in these kind of cases?
So again, I'm an immigration lawyer. That's not really my specialty. I will say, having reviewed the criminal documents regarding the individual who owned the vehicle, who is currently serving time on reentry, he got, I believe, 3 to 5 years on all of the conspiracy, human trafficking charges that are related, I guess, to the charges that they're trying to bring against Mr. Abrego Garcia. So you would not typically see that sort of sentence for somebody with zero criminal history.
A federal prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District in Tennessee resigned a few weeks ago as the office began its case against Mr. Abrego Garcia. What does this suggest to you about the strength of the government's case against your client?
Well, it's odd if they believe that there was a very strong case that they didn't bring it in 2022. It's also odd that the timing relates exactly to when they were ordered to bring him back. So I can understand that the prosecutor who resigned may have felt that this was only being done for political reasons and not really in the interest of justice here.
Mr. Osorio, The Senator Van Hollen released a statement on Abrego Garcia. Obviously, he went to El Salvador, met with your client, said for months the Trump administration flouted the Supreme Court and our Constitution. As I have repeatedly said, this is not about the man, it's about his constitutional rights and the rights of all. The administration will now have to make its case in the court of law as it should have all along. This seemingly is exactly what a lot of people were asking for, which is due process. It's happening after the fact, but this is how it should have worked from the beginning, right? There was an accusation to Mr. Abrego Garcia. He got lawyers. You guys all went in court and hashed it out there. This is, but it's working. We're working backwards here quite a bit.
Well, I mean, the good thing is, we ended up sort of avoiding a constitutional crisis here, and we are getting due process for him. We were never fighting for the character of this man. We were only fighting for him to get the process that he deserved and for the rule of law to be enforced here. This is a man who had an order that was supposed to protect him from going to El Salvador, and the government admitted it committed an error when it sent him to El Salvador. So we were just asking the government to correct that error. If they want to charge him with criminal charges, that is well within their right. I hope he gets the due process in his criminal proceedings that he did not get in the immigration proceedings that just occurred to him. The executor cannot break the law and then say, whoopsie. I mean, it's just very offensive to our constitutional order.
And due process is the big issue in this case. Mr. Osorio, let me have you listen to comments that President Trump made about your client yesterday. Watch this.
He should have never had to be returned. I could see it either way, bringing it back or not bringing it back. But by bringing it back, you show how bad he is. He's a bad guy.
Your reaction to those very strong characterizations of your client?
So when bad guys get due process, I mean, that's just the way it is. If you or I go out and commit a heinous crime, we get due process. If we're alleged to have committed something that we did not do, we get due process. Again, it's not the type of crime or the serious nature of the crime that matters. Everybody gets due process. If you're charged with speeding and you want to contest it, you get due process. If you're charged with murder and you want to contest it, you get due process here. So, it's very unfair for the executive branch, who's supposed to faithfully enforce our laws, to say that we don't have to follow the law.
Mr. Osorio, before we let you go, really quickly, it is now proven that this administration is able to bring people back from El Salvador. Does this, in your mind, you're an immigration attorney, does this open up the possibility that more folks will have to be brought back now that they've proven that they're able to do so?
Well, I think that's probably one reason they did this under the guise of extradition, right? If you do it under extradition, you say, well, we're not doing it as part of bringing this person back because of a court order regarding their immigration proceedings. We're doing it back to charge them with a crime. And so then they could use that to justify in the future, well, these people haven't been charged with a crime here in the United States, so we can't bring them back. But I do think it demonstrates, and there are other cases that are ongoing right now in federal district courts where they're being ordered to facilitate other individuals' return. So I do think you will see more of them. Judge Boasberg has just said that some of the Venezuelans can contest whether they are alleged gang members. I really hope that happens for, in particular, Andre. So I do think that you will start to see a wave of these individuals being able to contest their removal from the United States.